this show started. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'll get my mic. Good morning, everybody. This is Eureka John, and this is the Eureka Street Crypto Hub. I'm Eureka John, and it is Friday, 5:47 in the morning, and it is September 24th, 2020. Let me adjust this camera real quick. Okay, this is my morning show. I do this every single morning, and yeah, as you saw, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day, and I talk about all things crypto. And this is not a news show. It's not an education platform. It's not financial advice. This is just me, a dude, learning about crypto. And this is my journey to learn about crypto every single day of my life. And this is my discipline, my dedication to do so. And it makes me research every single day, keeps me on my toes to give me at least something to talk about every single day. So that's what it is. I'm not shilling anything. I'm not sponsored by anybody. And I just doing my deal, man. I'm also working with some other projects and for some stuff with the Bankless DAO. And yeah, so I do participate in a more official manner in that way. But this is my art right here. This is I want to keep it to where it's separate from anything else I do. And yeah, just to enjoy the space. And through this project, I started October 24th, 2020. And I've met a lot of really cool people, gotten a lot of great feedback from people. I've learned how to live stream, how to work with video and audio fairly well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I still need to learn always, but I've learned a lot about crypto, learned about a lot about, I mean, crypto really encompasses so many different disciplines. I mean, it's, not just, it's computer programming, yes, it's finance, and it's like the marriage between these two. You have a lot of these developers and these computer programmers creating these amazing programs with no background in finance, and you can tell by the way a lot of these things work that it was made by somebody with no background in finance. And then you have somebody over here with all the background in finance, and then they're working with some dev, and you can tell, I don't know, you can just tell that they have no background in computer programming, and or maybe they learned just enough code to build a platform, and you can tell on that end too. And yeah, and then you have some other projects that are nothing but just marketing and just pure what they call vaporware. And yeah, once the initial coin offering goes out, and once they get their money, they cash in and run away and fly by night. So yeah, it is the Wild West. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's pretty unregulated. Of course, the regulators are chomping at their bit, trying to come in here and clean house for our own protection, of course, right? Because that's always why things are regulated. They want to. They're looking out for the little guy, not to line their pockets with all the money that they see being made in here outside of their jurisdiction. So the regulators are hot and heavy. Sitting there basically pointing their crosshairs at anybody that moves right now. So yeah, it is a really entertaining space, and there's something that is happening every single day. I preach every single day about whether or not that you're going to take the road of financial autonomy and decentralization, or whether you're going to take the road that's going to be going towards the central bank digital currency and programmable smart money, which will basically amount to the Fed coin. And that would be under 100% regulation and all that. So yeah, it's really kind of, the coin has been tossed and it is still in the air, and we don't know which side. Well, I think it'll land on both sides in a way, but you have to choose which side that you're going to end up on. And prepare yourself, because things are happening right now that a lot of people can't fully grasp, and I'm trying my hardest to, and that's why I'm doing this and trying to keep up with everything as much as possible, trying to learn everything as much as possible. If I do end up getting stuck in some draconian dystopian regulated central bank type of system, at least I want to know how to work around and work through the loopholes and survive that way. All right. So anyway, yes, let's go to CoinGecko and see what is up. Well, first of all, I wanted to show you a couple of projects. I am now on Spotify. Okay, so you can find me on Spotify. I uploaded my first episode, and I just called it episode 1. I mean, even Rug Zombie, I can't remember what number that was. It was like 260 something. But I kind of cleaned up the audio a little bit, shortened it out a little bit, added some intro and outro music, but essentially it's the same thing. But I'm taking some of these good episodes that turned out well, that would sound good on an audio format, and then also some interview episodes as well. And I'm going to be putting them up on Spotify. It's up on Google Play. It's on iHeartRadio. Listen FM, I think, and then let me think, Apple Podcasts will be up there, I believe, tomorrow, and then what else, there's some others, so yeah, and Podbean as well. So I'm going to be up on major podcast networks, so I'm pretty stoked about that. It's kind of leveling up the playing field, so now people who are driving can just pop on their Spotify, and they can listen to me on their commute if they really want to listen to me. But yeah, that's it. That's that in a nutshell. And then over here, I've been working with DAO. We have a program called the Podcast Accelerator that I'm helping to build out and develop. And this is our first podcast that we've developed. It's called Crypto Sapiens, and one of the members of the Bankless DAO, Humpty Calderon, has made this show, and I helped to produce it. And this is the first episode that we're putting out, the first full episode, called Decentralized Naming Systems. If you follow me on Twitter, my name is eurekajohn.eth, and that .eth allows anybody to send me Ethereum to that Ethereum name service address. So yeah, I could do an entire episode on just the advantages of .eth name services and stuff like that. I mean, it started out how the internet was just your web address was just a bunch of numbers, and obviously that's not practical because you can't memorize that. So they use domain name services, and it gives you stuff like pets.com, website.com, or whatever.com, and that is the name service. Well, now blockchain is doing that, and you can do that through unstoppable domains for a multitude of different blockchains. But for Ethereum name services, you can do things like eurekajohn.eth. And so anybody who wants to send any type of ERC20 based token or Ethereum can send that to me at eurekajohn.eth if you want to send donations or whatever. And I'm not trying to bum money. I'm just trying to, explain what this is. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And so this is an entire interview with one of the main developers of the Ethereum name service. And they're talking about decentralized naming systems and how you can own your, address and make it recognizable. So this is a really good, high quality podcast that came out on it, and we put it up on Spotify, we put it up on Google Play, Amazon, whatever the that one's called. Yeah, so I mean, in iHeartRadio and all those platforms, Pandora. So yeah, look out for that. That's another one that I've produced, and I'm starting to churn this stuff out, starting to get the workflow down, and I'm really stoked about it. So yeah. All right, so that being said, and those little cool developments that have happened, let's go over here to the CoinGecko and see what's going on. Let me open up my banana. I will save the Chiquita sticker for my little girls. They love the banana stickers. I always award them the banana stickers upon eating their banana, and yeah, it gives them a motivation to scarf down that banana. All right, so let me go here to the old CoinGecko. All right, so things are blood red again this morning, and whatever, just when you think you bought the dip yesterday, well, shoot, I bought some Ethereum yesterday at 3,000, and I was like, crap, man, I missed the dip. Well, not quite. I guess I could buy some more today at 2887.06. And I bought some Bitcoin yesterday at 43,000, and so I mean, that's just what happens. That's the advantage of dollar cost averaging, And if you don't know what dollar cost averaging means, it means you just put in a little bit each day, each week, each month, or whatever, but on a consistent basis. And you don't try to time the dips. I mean, maybe if you see a dip, you can maybe buy in double, but aside from that, you don't really put a whole lot of mind to what the price is, and you just buy as you go along because you believe that the technology and the project as a whole in the future will be going up on an average. And so if you follow along that dollar cost average type of pattern as the project or the technology scales and builds up momentum and grows over time, you will benefit from that. And yeah, that's the benefit of not trying to time the market, because if you're trying to time the market on all that and buy only in the dips, and like yesterday, if I had only bought at that 3,000 dip, I'd be kind of screwed today. And if I kept trying to time all that stuff, I'd just be losing money. So yeah. So Bitcoin's at $42,529.47. Ethereum's at $2,887.06. Tether's at $1. Cardano's at $2.15. Binance Coin's at $348.49. XRP is at 91 cents. Solana at $134.62. USDC dollar, Polkadot 29.33. The Doge at number 10, 20 cents. And I don't really go too much past it. All the layer 2 solutions starting to use Chainlink. I hope we'll see some movement on Chainlink, but I think it's going to do some pretty big stuff in the near future as well. So yeah, and I don't think that I'm just optimistic about Chainlink for Chainlink's purpose, just for Chainlink. I see it in action, and all these layer 2 solutions being using the Chainlink nodes that are going active now as we speak. So yeah, things could get interesting if you take a quick look. I do want to cover the inner workings of a Chainlink node and maybe go into some of these node services and stuff like that, but that's for another episode. But just a quick look. Hold on, let me pull up this. This is data.chain.link/arbitrum/mainnet, and hold on, on the Arbitrum network. So all the apps are getting their information and the data off chain via Chainlink. So here's Fuse, here's Link Pool and stuff like that, and yeah, look at that price. Woo! Anyway, so yeah, these are all the oracles run by all these node operators. And you can outsource all these node operators and all that stuff. It gets pretty deep in the nitty gritty. All right. So anyway, yeah, and I'm going to be doing some sushi and stuff like that, explainers and the history of that. But anyway, let's take a quick look at this video, and then we'll get on to what we're going to get on here with Bitcoin. All right. So 1 second. All right.
And we've got David here in a Starbucks in El Salvador. David has his Strike account linked to his Twitter account, and we're gonna make a free, instant cash final remittance payment over Twitter. So I'm gonna go search David's Twitter account on my phone. I'm gonna find his tips button, and I'm gonna send David $10 over Twitter for changing the world. It's going to open my non-custodial Lightning Moon wallet. Anyone in the world can download, and I'm just going to hit send. And boom. We just made an instant free remittance payment from Chicago, Illinois, USA to San Salvador, El Salvador over Twitter. Why would anyone ever use Western Union again? When you take one of the world's largest social internet networks and you combine it with the world's best open monetary network, Twitter accidentally becomes one of the best remitting experiences in the world. This one singular payment standard and this one singular open monetary global monetary network is dematerializing all existing monetary networks. Western Union, pawn to E4, your move.
Anyway, I think it's interesting that they're calling out Western Union. So yeah, you can now transfer Bitcoin via person-to-person, peer-to-peer directly through Twitter. And interesting development. Yeah, for when I think about the whole aspect of what this does to Western Union, people say, well, you got a KYC, and yeah, now Twitter, I guess you have to KYC through Twitter. Is that how it works? I don't really know. But you basically have to dox all of your information and give all your information to Twitter. But I mean, don't you already kind of? I don't know. So, yeah. I mean, they're saying the Western Union, your move. I also think about Ripple and XRP. Isn't that what they claim to do in Stellar? That they excel at and lowering the cost for somebody, because Western Union and MoneyGram and all that, it's highway robbery for your Filipino cleaner lady or anybody from wanting to send money back down to Mexico or whatever from the United States, and they're basically paying $50 to send $50, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. And people are they're paying the remittance services like a month's salary to do so. Well, with Twitter, if they're all set up for that, and now that El Salvador is completely Bitcoin centric, I'm not really sure how all that's going practically on the ground from person to person there in El Salvador, but idealistically, it sounds amazing. I did hear that there are some people protesting the fact that Bitcoin is being adopted and forced upon people there. So that's something to think about and look at and to explore further. I don't know enough about that for this episode. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. And I mean, you got a KYC and give all your personal information in order to receive money via Western Union and MoneyGram, don't you? If you're going there to receive it and to send it. So it's KYC either way. It's just one's cheaper than the other. And Lightning Network is cheap and fast, and everybody seems to have Twitter. I mean, I didn't until crypto space, but I don't know. It just goes to show like a lot of really large entities are adopting Bitcoin. And let's see here. There was another tweet that I thought was interesting here. Okay, are you paying attention yet? August 2020, MicroStrategy becomes first public company to buy Bitcoin. February 2021, Tesla buys $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. June 2021, El Salvador becomes first nation to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. September 2021, Twitter releases Bitcoin payments worldwide. Somebody says the U.S. government's going to attack Lightning. I don't know, man. So how much power does the U.S. government actually have against all this technocracy right now anyway? But this brings to light this article here that I read yesterday. And man, I was going to talk about Ethereum scalability stuff today too, and I don't know if I'm enough time because I've been rambling so much. But let's see here. Okay, so Bitcoin Trojan horses for freedom. All right, so Bitcoin is a Trojan horse for freedom. So this is an interesting perspective to think about, because I do also think about the fact that Bitcoin is being adopted by all these large corporations, these large governments, and stuff like that. And I mean, and these large investment the institutions, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, is all these places, Vanguard or Grayscale investing in Bitcoin. And if these people are investing in Bitcoin, how amazing can it really be at that point for the case for people to have financial autonomy and personal freedom? Because a lot of these institutions are the very institutions that want to enslave us. So I read this article, and it kind of explains it. And they say that Bitcoin, or Alex Gladstein, the author, says that Bitcoin is a Trojan horse. That's the explanation. Okay, so basically they outline to Aeneid. Is that how you pronounce it? Aeneid? The Aeneid? Okay. Virgil's epic poem. One of the most iconic plot lines of classical mythology unfolds with trickery and subterfuge. The Greek forces, having failed to capture the city of Troy after a decade-long siege, attempt an ultimate attack on their enemy, not by strength, not by guile, but through a clever plan hatched by Ulysses. In the fields outside of Troy's impregnable walls, the Greek army departs, but leaves behind a massive wooden horse. The lone remaining soldier leads the Trojans to believe that the horse is a tribute to Minerva, the goddess of war and strategy, and is an apology for the blood that the Greeks spilled. The Trojans think their rival has sailed off and surrender, and despite warnings from Cassandra and Laocoon, who gives us the famous saying, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts," they bring the horse into the city as a trophy of victory. Blinded by zeal, they think it will make them invincible. Little do they know that the horse is packed with armed to cover of night, slip out and open the gates for their comrades waiting outside who had hidden their fleet behind an island in the nearby sea. The Greeks sack the city, and Troy falls defeated from inside by its new treasure. Right, so, thousands of years later, the Trojan Horse has been popularized in computer science as a malicious program disguised as a helpful update. Yep, we've all probably had experience with that in some way or another. But it is also an effective metaphor for how Bitcoin stealthily co-opts actors who do not care about or do not like freedom to promote it anyway. So, I know that Grayscale and BlackRock and a lot of these large, and Twitter, I don't really think cares about freedom. But the meme begins with wealthy individuals, corporations, and soon governments which see Bitcoin as glittering digital gold. Out of self-preservation and greed, they are incentivized to buy, mine, or one day tax this new prize to accumulate the soundest money and gain an advantage over their rivals. Bitcoin does, after all, on its exterior, look very appealing. It is the best performing financial asset in the world over the past 12 years. And that is one thing about Bitcoin. It is becoming a very appealing store of monetary value. And a lot of times, large entities that are in control, the incumbents, will see something as a threat, so they will try to buy it all up in order to counter that threat. I know that there is a grocery store chain here called HEB, and a lot of people love HEB, and they talk about how amazing HEB is and all that stuff. However, HEB also buys up a lot of real estate, very prime real estate, that they predict that other competitors may want, where they may want to open up a grocery store. So they buy any land that they see as potential prime grocery store land in order to prevent others from buying that land also and putting grocery stores there. So it's kind of nasty. So that's what large incumbents and try to do to any type of threat. They try to buy it up. So yeah. So that's, I think, what a lot of large entities are trying to do with Bitcoin. They see it as a threat, and they're trying to buy it up and secure it, and then maybe be able to tax it in the future. A lot of them, I don't think, fully understand what Bitcoin is. And so, yeah. So Bitcoin's $1 trillion success is attracting interest from the rich and powerful everywhere from Wall Street to Beijing to Silicon Valley. In the last year, Bitcoin FOMO has seeped into the minds of professional investors, corporate treasury managers, and even sovereign wealth funds who don't want to get left behind. As a recent Bloomberg headline announced, Bitcoin is displacing gold as an inflation hedge. Wow. The article shows how value is demonstrably flowing out of gold and into Bitcoin. Companies like Tesla and Square are among a growing group of dozens adding the new currency to their balance sheets. NYDIG is introducing the multi-trillion-dollar insurance industry to Bitcoin as a hedge against declining yields. As MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor says, Bitcoin is the hardest money and acts over time like a one-way street. Just as no Argentine wants to cash out their US dollars back into pesos, ultimately few will want to cash out their Bitcoin back into dollars. It is in early days now, but it is hard to overstate the eventual impact that Bitcoin will have, not just on the $10 trillion gold market, but the $20 trillion art and collectible market, the $100 trillion stock market, and the $225 trillion real estate market, and the $250 trillion bond market over the coming decades. Bitcoin is not just number go up technology hidden behind eye-popping gains. It is a powerful freedom go up technology that its new adopters are knowingly or not pushing forward. The number go up and freedom go up are inextricable. I do have a question though. few want to cash out their Bitcoin back into dollars. So what is going to incentivize them to use Twitter and the Lightning Network as a way to send Bitcoin? Because everybody right now is pretty much in hoarding stage. You know, nobody wants to I don't want to sell my Bitcoin, that's for sure. And I don't want to tip in Bitcoin. I don't want to buy a coffee in Bitcoin. I mean, I don't drink coffee anyway, but I don't want to buy kombucha in Bitcoin. You know, like I just I, I don't see Bitcoin as a currency right now. And that, you know, I don't know. So something to think about. People say, well, that's, you know, where something like Doge has a case and other types of cryptocurrencies that will act as currencies. But you know, they don't have the security and the decentralization in the way that Bitcoin does. I don't know. So anyway, so Bitcoin's decentralized digital cash did not emerge from Y Combinator, and a Y Combinator is basically a venture capitalist seeding company or project that basically funds and seeds crypto projects in order to bring them to fruition. And I talk a little bit about that in my interview with Crypto Chemistry. He explains the whole venture capitalist world pretty well. But anyway, Bitcoin's decentralized digital cash did not emerge from Y Combinator, but was rather the holy grail of Cypherpunks, a group of civil liberties advocates concerned about how personal freedoms could survive the great electronic transformation of society. And if you read any articles, if you could just go on the Nakamoto Institute, and there is a treasure trove, nakamotoinstitute.com, and there is a treasure trove of articles and all this literature put out by all the original cypherpunks. I'm still going through it and reading articles, and every once in a while I'll feature one of those here on my show. Yeah, I think yeah, Monday, because I have 2 interviews this weekend. So tomorrow I'm interviewing a fellow Bankless DAO member named Ivan, and then on Sunday I'm interviewing Ernest of Gaia from the Nomad Blockchain Initiative, I believe, and he's also a Bankless DAO member. So yeah, so but Monday I'll try to do a cypherpunk article. Anyway, all right, so so Bitcoin was the holy grail of cypherpunks, a group of civil liberties advocates concerned about how personal freedoms could survive the great electronic transformation of society. And that's exactly what we're going through right now, is a great electronic transformation of society. Their goals were to separate money from the governments and corporations, check the growth of global surveillance state, and preserve human rights in an increasingly digital age. So people say, well, just use cash. Well, regardless, money is going digital. Society is going digital. There's no way around it. It is going. So how, given this framework that everything is going towards, how are we going to preserve our liberties? How are we going to preserve our privacy? And how are we not going to end up as slaves to government and corporations? Well, just buy gold and silver, you know, then you still won't be able to operate in the digital realm, and everything is going digital. So there's no way around it. We are going digital. So we have to find a way to preserve our freedoms in the great electronic transformation of society. So Satoshi Nakamoto's greatest trick was to animate these aspirations into something that looks alike and functions as digital gold. So it's gold as code. Yeah. So while yes, Bitcoin gives anyone, regardless of their nationality, status, wealth, gender, race, or beliefs, access to the best savings technology on the planet, it also gives them an unstoppable programmable money that cannot be debased or censored, and that fights surveillance and confiscation. Dissidents, democracy, protesters, opposition leaders, and even independent journalists worldwide are beginning to realize this, from Minsk to Lagos, to Los Angeles to Buenos Aires. Okay, so Bitcoin, they do call it programmable money. Bitcoin is not really made to be programmable money, and so that's where I mean, a lot of the original programmers of Bitcoin did see a vision in which it would be programmable money, and they created like colored coins and stuff like that, and they've tried really hard to put smart contracts on it, and now we have RSK and now Counterparty that are trying to do things like this. So we'll see where all that goes. It's been interesting to watch, but Ethereum has really tried to take forth the mantle of being programmable money, as in smart contracts, and it has done a great job of it. I personally like Ethereum and I like Bitcoin, but there are a lot of people that are mutually exclusive and very tribalistic about that. So if you're new to the crypto space, welcome to the drama. It's worse than any soap opera that you saw, Days of Our Lives, like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives, the young and the restless. And you get to see the young and the restless arguing back and forth through amongst their crypto tribalism. Anyway, so world leaders speak about human rights, but we'll get down to brass tacks. The platitudes are swept aside. As a reminder of this cold reality, refer to the dictators on the UN Human Rights Council or the Financial Action Task Force, the list of household corporate names sponsoring the 2022 Genocide Olympics, or the roster of Wall Street icons who attended Saudi Arabia's Davos in the desert. As human rights activists know well, it can be hard to effectively promote freedom in a society that willingly sells morals out for profit. Bitcoin sneaks in and rewires the system from the inside, aligning profit-seeking with permissionless financial liberation. But who conjured this horse and dragged it to the city gates? This time it was not a plotting army camped outside Wall Street. Satoshi's creation spreads not by force but by voluntary choice. The financial establishment is simply beginning to like the way it looks. It promises great riches, and that is no mirage. It will continue to deliver, but most of the elites do not realize what they are bringing into the inner sanctum. In a world of increasingly centralized control and social engineering, like Twitter, Bitcoin provides a check by empowering the individual at the expense of the authority. Yes, billionaires and dictators can buy a lot of Bitcoin, but they cannot control the system as they can with fiat money. Unlike the dollar, euro, or yuan model, they cannot tweak issuance, censor transactions, or make special rules or bailouts for the aristocracy or perform mass remote confiscation or debasement. Interesting. So, of course, governments and corporations will try to hijack Bitcoin for their own ends. Some already have. The Block Size War is a book that chronicles the attempts of Chinese billionaires and Silicon Valley titans to forcibly transform Bitcoin from a freedom tool into a retail payments mechanism. So they're trying to force Bitcoin into a retail payments mechanism. And I've seen this happen, the whole, buying the Bitcoin pizza thing, people saying you can buy coffee, and they've created Bitcoin Cash and all that stuff, trying to make Bitcoin into a retail. The attempts failed because it lacks a single point of control. And Bitcoin is more clever than any Trojan horse or that Virgil or Homer could have imagined. In this plotline, each individual can custody their Bitcoins by moving it to an address they control with a set of digital keys. Unlike in 1933, when the U.S. government was able to seize the gold of citizens with Executive Order 6102 by attacking points of custody, that does not work if hundreds of thousands or even millions of Americans are holding their keys. The adoption process is creating millions of new fortresses in cyberspace, all more secure than control. So the ancient Greeks and Romans would appreciate the irony of megacorps and governments willingly and even enthusiastically letting the one thing that they can erode their growing power into their city gates. Number go up is one hell of a drug, and I know that for sure. And anybody that has hodled any type of cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin in specific, knows how addicting it is to check your wallet and just to be like, wow. I started out with nothing, and just by sitting here and saving, this has grown in ways that I could never have imagined and cannot do with any type of regular savings account by any of the large banks right now that we have available. So we're lucky to get 0.1% interest rate right now on savings. So yeah, so crypto's looking pretty good. In some ways, Bitcoin has succeeded so far by hiding behind its strangeness. Just as the Trojans were baffled by the monstrous horse standing outside their gates, the establishment has balked at Bitcoin. It has gone from 0 to 60,000, with most people on Earth not batting an eye. Less than 2% of humans have adopted it, but more than that, it seems, have mocked it. Even today, in April 2021, virtually all top economists, political scientists, Democrats, and central bankers still dismiss Bitcoin as something that will not work or is not worth their time. Even to this point, it is so obvious it could just smack you in the face, and people are still just calling it Ponzi, and they treat people like I'm just that weird multi-level marketing guy that's trying to push my stupid products on somebody. Y'all know that dude, And I'm just like, all right, man, I'm not even going to talk about it. That's why I do this show, so I don't have to sit there and bug my friends and family about all this freaking brain melting knowledge that I'm just like, learning about through this crypto world. So anyway, this dismissal has allowed Bitcoin to grow largely unfettered, and now the horse has been rolled inside the city. With the Davos establishment thought what the Davos establishment thought was just the number grow up tech was also the freedom go up tech. This alignment of incentives is sorely needed in a world that depends too often on and empathy. Take the global struggle for human rights. The international business community mostly overlooks the Chinese Communist Party Uyghur gulags, subjugation of Hong Kong, staggering surveillance state and colonization of Tibet. In this scenario, self-interest and freedom are in conflict. To save profits, companies, celebrities, athletes, and head of states and state sacrifice morals and either cave to Beijing's demands or keep silent about its brutality. Even philanthropists are failing on freedom. The effective altruism movement, for example, completely ignores civil liberties. With Bitcoin, self-interest and freedom are aligned, even if one has zero altruism. So one buys or mines Bitcoin, they drive up the network's security model and make a more robust freedom tool for everyone else. So refreshingly, Bitcoin does not care about one's intentions. It enables greater liberty and empowerment, not by ambitious humanitarianism, but by each participant's honest self-preservation. And this dynamic continues to expand. For instance, Bitcoin exchanges say not adopting the Lightning Network for privacy reasons, they're adopting it to reduce fees. But are they spreading the freedom tech? But they are spreading the freedom tech anyway as they popularize a way to transact off-chain in an onion-routed second layer. On the horizon, a Bitcoin upgrade called Cross-Input Signature Aggregation, or SIGAG for short, could incentivize exchanges to engage in collaborative spends, which would fluster the surveillance state. Again, corporations will not push this privacy improvement for moral reasons, but to improve their bottom line. This is Bitcoin game theory, transforming greed into freedom. Tesla stacking Bitcoin does not just help Tesla, it increases Bitcoin's global network effect, driving up interest and price, attracting more developers and improving UX, increasing the number of miners and strengthening network security and multiplying new hodlers and a giant positive feedback loop. And I've seen this in action in the past just year. We've seen Taproot upgrade, which brings in more privacy and ring signature like type of implementation that Monero has. And so that's really good. And now the SIGAG, the cross-input signature aggregation. And then we have RSK, which is bringing smart contract capability. We have things like block stacks, which is also bringing DeFi and smart contract capability. Yeah, there's a lot of developments happening on Bitcoin just in this past year, faster than I had seen in previous years. And I've only been in this since 2018. But just in this past year, I've seen tons more development on Bitcoin than I have in the previous 3 years. So, yeah, and I think it's because just in the past year, a lot of these large institutions and corporations have been jumping in. So it's interesting to see. And the article goes on, and just to recap, Bitcoin will gain worldwide adoption because of its effectiveness as digital gold, but hidden within the prized Trojan Horse is a remarkable freedom technology at this point. The reader may think Bitcoin proponents must be saying, quiet in the back, keep the noise down, we just need to last a few more hours until midnight, and then we can pop ourselves out of this horse and let the rest of our army into Troy. But it's already too late. There's nothing the Trojans can do. Regimes will inevitably want to stack sats, satoshis, the unit of Bitcoin, underneath Bitcoin, cents to the dollar. Now, some have already found Bitcoin a helpful tool to escape sanctions, including Venezuela, Iran, and North Korea. But over time, the officials tasked with storing and spending Bitcoin will learn what it is, money the government cannot control, and they will share that knowledge with others, trickling it down through society. Just like the Trojan Horse computer viruses, Bitcoin will infect authoritarian regimes, appearing helpful at first, but proving debilitating over time. So, don't tell anybody. All right. Interesting stuff. And I've gone on 42 minutes. I didn't even get on to the second half of stuff I was supposed to talk about, but I have, and a lot of articles lined up for future episodes because there's just so much going on. It's insane. All right. I have to get to work. I'm a working schlep. I work 40 hours a week, and then I still make time to do all this stuff and be involved in the Bankless DAO and all that stuff. So you can do it. Don't use time as your excuse. Where there's a will, there's a way. I get up at the butt crack before dawn, and I do this, and I do it every day, and it keeps me active. It keeps me mentally active. It keeps me disciplined, and it's exciting. It gives me some endorphins to learn something new concepts, mind-blowing concepts, blow my mind. So I just I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked every single day. My level of stoke is high. It does not quit. And it helps. I don't stay up all night burning the midnight oil. I go to bed early. I go to bed at a reasonable hour. I got to bed last night at 9. Well, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, but I don't stay up burning the midnight oil. I make sure I rest good, because when I actually do stuff, when I do stuff, I do it to the maximum capacity that I am able to, because I'm well rested, and I try to take care of myself. So exercise, don't try to bring tons of toxic stuff into your body. All the basics. All right, I don't want to preach at you about that. I'm pretty upset. What an episode. All right, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. All right. Bye. Whoops, wrong outro. This one.